Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See? Okay. Just as we begin this program, all right, let's take the logo down, people. We are here. Listen to this. Me and my llama, me and my llama. I was just telling them before we started the program, one of my favorite songs of all time. It's from Sesame Street, and it's called Me and My Llama. And so they wanted to know that it was true, that I didn't make it up.
You cannot make this kind of stuff.
No, absolutely not.
That's not even, you couldn't even do it if you tried.
Absolutely not. All right, here we go. Oh, Mile High, welcome to sharing our stories. With my nerd glasses on. Take my nerd glasses off. By the way, it's okay to be a nerd. That sounded so insulting.
It is.
Let me take my nerd.
Yeah, you're nerd
off.
shaming.
My nerd glasses off.
Yeah,
Take
you
my
don't
glasses
nerd
off. Yeah, no nerd shaming. I was one of the first nerds. Okay, Revenge of the Nerds. Yes, back then, Revenge of the Nerds.
You couldn't
Okay.
even do it if
Oh
you
no!
tried.
Stop. Multiple things happening here right now. Welcome to Sharing Our Stories. My name is Slim with Nani Al Jaleel, and between us, Sarah Threadgill. She is going to be our guest today for sharing our stories. And this program is all about addiction and recovery. We have dealt with addiction in some way, and we are in our recovery, and there's many pathways to get there. So we're here to share in the different stories of how people reach their recovery. But today is a little bit different because Sarah hasn't actually been an addict to drugs or alcohol. Definitely has been an addict to vices that sex. We're just going straight up. Definitely has been an addict. But she also currently runs a sober living. And I know she wanted to come in and share what she's been through in her life. She's been surrounded for most of her life by people who have dealt with addiction. Her husband, awesome guy who I'm still waiting to meet, but I've given him a shout out on the radio before because he is 2 years in his recovery. Awesome. But her husband has dealt with addiction. And so she's here to talk about her perspective on addiction, what she's seen through her life, what she does with recovery, and her own struggles with her own vices in life. So did I cover that very well?
Pretty much
kind
of
of
summed it up.
She's like, I don't have to talk anymore. I'm out of here. Sweet. Thanks, Slam. But yeah, so she's our guest, and thank you for being here.
No, thank you for having me, both of you.
You know, we've chatted quite a bit over the last, I'd say, 10 months or so.
Yeah.
Because of the radio station that I work with.
Yes.
And I know that you are one of the people that listen to it and support it.
Every day.
And but I think it's also that, you know, we've connected on Facebook about addiction. And so I've watched the different things that you've been doing, and I saw last year when you were like, I'm opening up a sober living and I need furniture. I remember that.
Yeah.
And I know now you have a few sober living.
Yeah, 3 of them actually, yes.
3 of them. All right, so we're gonna turn this over to you and let you tell the story that I know you've been planning in your head. I know she said before she got, she was like, I've been praying on this all day.
I have. Want the words that God wants me to use come out of my mouth. But yes, I have been praying on it all day. I'm happy to share my story with you guys.
Oh, well, we are happy to have you.
Very happy to hear it.
All right, so Nani?
Yeah, no, that was great.
Did I cover it?
You got it.
All right, well then I'm out of here. I'm gonna leave these ladies here, and I'll see you guys in like 45 or so. No, our guest here originally from Farmington, New Mexico. I can't find that on a map. I know New Mexico is south because it's above Mexico, and I don't know where Farmington is. But originally from Farmington, New Mexico, she calls Aurora, Colorado.
Yes.
Our guest, Sarah Threadgill.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I do.
Boom, bam. You know, I want to start you off real comfy.
No, you're fine. So I do run First Stop Rehabilitation and Recovery Center. I've been doing that since about June of last year, but we opened our houses in September is when we got our first lady. Majority of the ladies that come in our homes are from being incarcerated. The way I landed into that program was working at bail bonds, First Stop bail bonds.
No
so
way.
It's been
Wait.
June.
You a bail
Okay.
bonds woman?
I don't post the bonds. I call you for your money and collect the money that you owe us.
Okay.
You ain't come
Paperwork.
looking for people.
I don't personally go look for people now.
Okay.
We have people that do that.
Okay.
But
That's a tough job.
That's
yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah, but I've been working for First Stop bail bond since June last year, and the owner Roy Jones, he has a story. That's not my story to tell, but he has a story, and he found out, a little bit about my background. Excuse me, and I kind of ran with it with the sober living. But a little bit about my background is I'm the oldest of 3 girls. My mother was incarcerated in prison 3 different times. On 3 separate occasions. One of them was she was really bad on drugs. So I seen me and my sisters grow up in a household with meth. She was real addicted to meth. And my dad took care of us, but he was selling drugs. He was selling weed and smoked weed and stuff like that. So I've always been around drugs and alcohol and stuff all my life. I knew that's not what I wanted.
Did you know that then? Or so oftentimes you grow up with that everything around you. It's just what it is.
I did.
You don't know good from right from wrong.
Right.
If that's what all you see.
Yeah. I did know it was wrong, but I know us living paycheck to paycheck. My mom was a manager at Domino's Pizza, and we lived off of Domino's. So to this day, I do not like pizza. But I did know something was up. I wasn't like the other kids. We did live in poverty, paycheck to paycheck and stuff. But my parents, made things happen. But there was still the drugs around us. Let's see. And then I ended up seeking men's attention at a very, very young age because my mom was in and out of prison my life. My dad would sell drugs or, be working late at night, so I was taking care of my 2 younger sisters. I ended up getting pregnant at the age of 13, and I had a daughter at the age of 13 going on 14. So I have a 20-year-old. I'm actually a 34-year-old grandma right now because I just had a baby my daughter just had a baby 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's
So,
exciting.
yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you get to all grow together. That's
Yes.
awesome.
But with that part, I did, I started seeking men's attention at a very young age because I wasn't getting that attention from my parents. So I did seek that attention. I ended up having my child. I did finish school though. My parents were very loving grandparents to my daughter. And I was able to finish school. And I continued going to school. I didn't stay with her dad. She ended up being, her dad ended up being in jail for drugs too. So he was in prison most of her life. But I raised my kids. I ended up getting with another man and had 2 more children with another man. But he was in, not an addiction, but he was an alcoholic. And constantly drank and stuff like that. But so that's all I knew. As long as the bills were paid, I would look the other way. As long as the bills were paid, my kids were taken care of.
Kind of like the way you grew up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of what I thought earlier.
Yeah, my parents didn't let me go without. So I kind of looked the other way. Well, the bills are paid, the lights are on. I got shoes on my feet. It was okay. So I ended up having 2 other children with another gentleman, and we ended up getting married. That didn't last very long because growing up in that facility, in that environment, we would get an argument because of his drinking or whatever it may be. I would just get money thrown on the nightstand, and it was okay. Not nothing, no necessarily beating or anything like that, but when I'd mentioned something about alcohol or when it wasn't going my way in that relationship, I turned the other cheek because there was money involved. Here, go get you some shoes, go get you whatever you want.
But like emotional neglect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The kids were taken care of. I got what I wanted, so that drinking was okay. I'm very fortunate that there's never been domestic violence, but there's always been that alcohol or drugs or always around. That relationship lasted about 9 years. And then, I started getting older and I started realizing things. There was a little bit of a time where when we went through our divorce, I did leave my children with him. So he's raised all 3 of my kids. So I left my kids with him and I went and partied in Albuquerque, New Mexico, because I was from Farmington, and I went and partied. I did only see my kids on the weekends. I did get into doing cocaine and, weed and drinking and stuff like that. But I thought it was okay because I'd always see my kids on the weekends. I talked to them and FaceTime them every night. In my head, that was okay. my kids were taken care of with their dad and their nana, and but I was, I had a job at a call center in Albuquerque, and I was doing coke. I was, my bills were paid. It was okay, So I never got at the addiction. It was just like a weekend type thing in my head that was okay. I ended up meeting my current husband now, and shortly after being in that relationship, he had an addiction to alcohol. But same thing. He was a truck driver, and our bills were paid. It was good. He was in his addiction for we've been together 8 years, and his addiction. He's been sober 2 years, like we have talked about. He's been sober, but we didn't find that until we moved here to Colorado, and we started seeing a different type of community. He's been faithfully part of sober living, not living in the sober living home, but part of the community. For the last 2 years now, faithfully, going to the church services, going to things like that. And we didn't really, understand how to get out of his addiction until we came to Colorado. But in the meantime, with his addiction, when he was in his addiction, the bills were still paid, but I wasn't getting that attention from him anymore. So I was seeking men's attention, not necessarily always sex, but, being on social media, looking for that attention, who liked my page, or, oh, he's hearting my stuff, or he commented I'm beautiful. Let me get in his DMs, things like that.
Attention.
Just that attention, because I wasn't getting it from my husband, because he was in his addiction, but our bills were paid, our kids were taken care of. But there was something missing. I've been missing something my whole life, and I did not know what it was. And then one day we went to Calvary Church in Aurora at Taylor's church service. And, I had a shitty attitude about it, because it's just because we were trying to mend our marriage back together, because there had been times where we were just going to throw in the towel, and it's just, I already had one disappointing marriage and divorce, I didn't want another one, but I held on to the glue so much on wanting that happy family and turning the other cheek that everything was okay. So we went to church service one day, and I can't even remember the church service, what it was about that day. I just had a crappy attitude. A brother and sister walked up to us and said, hey, it was put on our heart that we invite you to one of our groups that we have here at Calvary. And we're like, okay. He didn't tell us what it was about. Him and his wife just said, we think that you guys would fit really well with our group. The Lord told us to, invite you. We're like, okay. And he told us what it was called. And then we kind of did our digging out, going home, and it was called Most Excellent Way. And me and my husband, I was like, if this is for addiction, for addicts, I was like, I don't have a problem. You need to go to it, and we didn't go for the first couple of weeks. We ended up going, and just that atmosphere going into there. I did go in with a shitty attitude into the church, but just the different type of community we found in the sober community in church, it was absolutely beautiful. Most Excellent Way at Calvary. They meet on Tuesdays and Fridays.
What's the name? I'm sorry. What is it?
We call it New, but it's Most Excellent Way.
Most Excellent Way. Okay.
Yeah. A brother Armando and his wife, sister Julia, run it, and it's from 7 to 9. And we're just on a Friday night, my husband wanted to drink, and we're just really, what are we going to do with our Friday nights? And that's what we chose to go. And just the love that we felt going our first night there, from 7 to 8, brother Armando shared a Bible verse with us. He was in the Bible, but it wasn't throwing the Bible in us. It was related to addiction and drugs. He shared with his addiction, and just okay, they're talking about drinking and alcohol and drugs and partying and stuff like that, but related it to the Bible. And it caught our attention, and then at 8 o'clock we separated, and we went to, the men stayed in that group, and the women went across the hallway, and the women's, we went with the women. And I'm looking at him what the heck's going to happen now? I didn't know. And I'm like, I don't have an addiction. Excuse me. And sitting there with those groups with Sister Julia and these other ladies that I've never met before, it was inspiring. You hear their stories, and you go around in the circle, and you kind of share, what's on your heart, praise reports, or just ask for prayer requests. And I've always known about Jesus and the Bible and, praying and stuff, but getting into that group with those women, it was just amazing. They don't judge you. And, I did share my story about, I really never thought addiction as the seeking men's attention. So I found it in my heart, I do have a problem, because I turned the cheek so long. You can be addicted to food. You can be addicted to social media. You can be addicted to, all kinds of different things. And when I sat there and, was with those women, them pouring their hearts out to me and just not judging me for my actions and my path or judging me for what I've done in my marriage. It was absolutely beautiful, so I did, it was a step in our marriage that we had to take because we went home and we talked about it, and I do have an addiction. My addiction was always looking for men's attention, and his was drinking, and we got to the bottom of it. We continued to start going more and more. And then we met another gentleman, and he was part of a different sober living that have just for men. My husband ended up getting a job with them, and we started going to that sober living community, and we did that faithfully for 2 years. And just the community, the men and the women, because it was a men's sober living home community, Step 7 Ministries, and my husband wasn't necessarily in one of Step 7's homes, but we attended all their small groups, and we attended their discipleship, and we attended, church service. And that really helped my husband because it was a different type of community. Because as I said before, we're from Farmington, New Mexico, and we came down here to Colorado during COVID time in 2020, and we didn't know anybody. We just took a leap of faith, and we came down here because he had a job opportunity. I had a job opportunity.
You can't say came down here because I told you I don't know where Farmington
Oh, we
is.
came up here.
That's
You're right.
You can't do that to me.
I stand corrected. Yes, we came up here. If my husband's watching, he's probably laughing about that too because he corrects me all the time. But
You can't do that to me.
so yeah, we moved up here on a leap of faith, and we got jobs, and we didn't know anybody here. Absolutely anybody. And with Most Excellent Way at Calvary, and then Step 7, the family and the community that we started developing, it's beautiful. My 17-year-old daughter is going to be graduating from Eagle Crest this year, and she was on the worship team. And then my 13-year-old son, he's in the discipleship class. They do a 12-week discipleship group. And just being able to turn that leaf around, it's been amazing. And then I've always been, so my husband's an electrician now, not a CDL driver. He ended up losing CDL because of actions, being in an addiction. And he's an electrician, and I got into the HVAC community for a while, just pulling permits and, working in HVAC. It's been amazing. And then one company I was working with, they closed their doors, and I was just so upset. Like, what job am I going to work? What am I going to do for work? I have 3 kids, like I told you, my oldest one, and then my 2 kids. Well, me with my husband, he has his son, which is my son. He's my little boy, and his biological mother is in her addiction right now. We've let her live with us at least 5 different times, trying to help her get out of her addiction, because I feel that she can give her biological son something maybe I can't, and we've helped her. So she was living with us last year in June, and I had lost my job in HVAC, and she's like, hey, she was working at the Bell Bonds place. She was doing collections and motions and stuff at the Bell Bonds, and she's like, hey, we just lost somebody. They walked out. You should try and apply. And me and her have had like an up and down relationship because she was living with us, and it's kind of weird saying, hey, I live with my baby daddy and his new wife and my son. She's living in our basement. It's kind of awkward, but we had a relationship that nobody could judge. And it was off and on, obviously, but she lived with us, and I ended up getting the job at the Bell Bonds, and it was amazing, and we worked together, we lived together, we're raising our son together, it was a beautiful thing. She ended up leaving in August, because of her addiction. We haven't heard from her since then. I still pray for her in my groups that we go to. I still pray for her. I'm actually saving a bed in one of my sober living houses, praying that one day, she will get some act right and, want the sober life, her words was, the sober life is boring, and I'm proud of my boring life, going to church meetings.
You got to get past that point. I can tell you a time when I would have said the same thing, and now I'll tell you, don't you ever, I don't ever want to be drunk.
No,
please.
exactly.
And there's so much.
There is
sober.
A lot, and I didn't realize that. Yeah, the different events that we go to and stuff, it's beautiful. And the sober community, I just love that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We are faith-based at First Stop, but it's just amazing. It's beautiful,
And it's really been faith that brought your husband to his recovery and got your attention, focused back on your husband.
Exactly.
And it's been God. So tell us about what you guys do at First Step.
First Stop. It's okay. A lot of people say
Sorry,
Step.
but I wrote down Step 7 Ministries.
Oh, you see the step.
So
First.
I got these words,
No, you're fine. So First Stop, we do have 3 homes. They are located in Aurora. That's our main home. It's called the Sunflower House. I love sunflowers. and the meaning of a sunflower, they droop down at night, and then in the morning they start looking up. And I fully surrendered when I started looking up, in my marriage and everything. So sunflowers mean a lot to me. They hold dear place to my heart. So the Aurora House is a sunflower house. It holds 9 women. And we have a Denver house, that's the Lily House, that holds 6 women. And then we have the Arvada house, that's called the Rose House, and that holds 6 women. And right now at First Stop, what we do is a lot of the women that come in right now are being in either treatment, Parker Valley Hope, Cedar, Denver Cares. And then a lot of them, since we are a bail bond, we kind of have the upper hand, my name's getting out there because I do volunteer in the jails. So we have women that go in and talk about the Alpha program that's in Arapahoe jails and a couple of other jails. Some of my sisters that I have known in recovery, in their recovery, they go and volunteer, and I go with them to volunteer, and we kind of get those women's attention. And it just kind of sparks, their attention about God and about sober living. So then they reach out to me, and I talk to them on their free phone calls that they have once a week and tell them a little bit about us. And next thing I know, I'm doing an intake with them over the phone, or I'm letting them know about First Stop, and they get granted a PR bond to First Stop. I go to probation meetings with them. I go to talk to their public defenders and the DAs and let them know about our program. And a lot of them have, $50,000 bonds, and they get released on a PR bond because they see what we're doing. I do have a template that I follow that I send to the DAs and let them know, hey, we are faith-based, and this is what we look like. What we look like is we do go to Calvary Church on Sundays, every Sunday at 10:45 with Ed Taylor. The girls, that's mandatory. And then Monday night, we do a Step 7 small women's group at the Sunflower House. So all of us, Shannon Dando actually leads that. So she leads that, and we just kind of go over what Step 7 learned throughout the week and stuff in the group. And then Wednesday nights, we go to Cherry Hills, and that's the Alpha program. It's called the Reentry Group. So we go there, and we're just, it's a bunch of us women just getting together. And then Friday nights, we go to Most Excellent Way. So it's 4 mandatory groups that these ladies go to, and it's a beautiful thing, just seeing these women just pour into each other. And, I've heard horrific stories of what these women have been through. I've seen what my son's biological mother went through when she's in her addiction, and the story she's came back and told me about being on the streets and stuff. And I just have a special place in my heart because I myself didn't know what my worth was, because I'm always seeking men's attention and looking for, that validation from a man or feeling wanted, and when us women are feeling like that, we turn to the men, whether it's you being in your addiction or, you're looking for something that you don't know what you're craving, and whether you're in your addiction, a lot of the women that come to First Stop, I can say maybe 85% of the women that leave First Stop, it's because of a man, because they're wanting that. Because when you're in sober living, there's rules, there's curfew, there's times where you're on blackout periods, or there's times where you can't, you have to be at the house. You don't have in the beginning of First Stop, you can't leave the house, or not leave the house. I'm sorry, you can't have overnight stays, and you're wanting that attention with men, and you're like, oh, this is a boring life, but you get more into it. And I tell the girls the first year in your sobriety, like NA and AA says, you're not supposed to be in a relationship. And then I kind of correct myself, and the only relationship that you need to be in is with God. Dig into your Bible and find what you're looking for, because all the answers are going to be in your Bible. These men out there cannot give you what God's going to give you, and that's going to be your freedom. And we actually literally spoke about freedom on Monday night, and we genuinely have that freedom. We just have to choose it. But it's been absolutely amazing with First Stop. I'm actually going to the women's prison on Havana this Saturday.
Oh,
So I'll be I will be there this Friday from 7 to 2, serving burritos and just pouring into those women.
what's that like?
It's amazing. You see these women and they're so heartbroken. I went last year a couple of times with Shannon and a couple of the sisters, Naomi. I went with them for the summer fest at the prison. And it's crazy because I tell my family or tell friends I'm going to prison or I'm going to jail. I'm going voluntarily to love on these women. And you hear some of their stories and what they're in for, and you kind of might think like, you're in here for something stupid, or you're in here for something crazy or whatever. But just sitting there and asking them, well, how can I pray for you? What can I pray for you with? And they have family out there, or a court case and stuff like that. But to give our time, like the hugs and the tears that we share with each other, and just being able to hold hands with each other and talk with them. listen to their stories and make them understand that they're wanted and they're valid and their feelings are valid, and that they're here for a purpose, that their story's not over, that they have a testimony that they're going to someday get out and share, and it's a beautiful thing, and they just, the smiles and just what they're like, they appreciate us being there, because we don't have to go volunteer if we didn't want to, but I do that for my time, just teaching my kids as well, that not everybody behind bars is a horrible person. They're people just like us, and they're God's children, they're God's creation, and they need that love too, and it's crazy because I'm so busy with running these houses, I don't always cook dinner for my family. So when I do cook dinner and my kids pray, and that part of my kids' prayer, Jesus, we pray for the ladies or the men out there that are homeless. We pray for the ones that are in the hospital. We pray for the ones that make the bad choices. We pray for the ones that are in jail, and instilling that into my kids, it melts my heart. I love it, but I really love the women because, I have some women that, idolize me, and I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like I didn't get this executive director position at the sober living houses because I went to a 4-year university. It's just God placed me where he placed me, for a season. My son's biological mom was working there for a little bit of a season and got me in here. And, Roy, he's the owner of the houses. He's purchased the houses and he's the owner, and he has a story. It's not my story to tell, but he has a reason why he wants to help all these women. There's not a lot of women facilities out there.
Yeah, there's not.
So we started with these 3 houses, and our next goal is a mom and me house, and it's just because a lot of these women. A mom and me house. Yeah. To take the women, because I hear the women come in and, I get to hear their stories, and they have kids. And that hard question is, where's your kid? Where's your child? And whether it's the child's in the system or, they get visitations with Jefferson County or Arapahoe County a couple hours a week, or, family members raising them, the goal is reunification. I want them to be able to be a nice human being in society and being able to, be that parent. The women that are a part of First Stop, they see my kids being involved. They see my daughter being in the choir and the church, the church worship team. They see my son, and they see, my 10 and my 13-year-old son writing, things in their Bibles when we're at church service. They see that and they're like, these kids can do it. They can do it. Their children can do it. It's a beautiful thing. And, it took me a long time. I'm 34 years old, and it took me the last 2 years to realize, I don't need a man to survive. I don't need a man to love me. Granted, yes, I do have my husband, and he's very supportive, but I'm here, and I'm here to serve. I'm here to serve these ladies. I'm here to serve. And it's not just, the sober community. It's family members and, other people out there. I like, we were just talking at one of our groups, making bags to give out to the homeless, go serving, the homeless, and just giving back to our community. I love to see the sober community grow and grow and grow. There's just so much out there that people don't know about. All this help with like the government assistance, or just like, other places that are just growing. My ladies all the time, like, look at this new group, Sarah, look at this new group. Let's check out this church. We call it church hopping sometimes, because then we'll go check out a service on Wednesday night, a different service, or go check out a different church service on Saturday, just to see what it's about. And it's really neat because these ladies are digging into their Bibles. They're asking questions about the Bible. It's just absolutely beautiful, and it's hard to tell these ladies, I've lost some beautiful ladies, from at First Stop, because of a man. And I'm just like, you're better than this. You don't really need the guys, and I've learned the hard way. I don't share my story. Obviously, some of the girls are watching, and now they know my story. I wasn't addicted to, fentanyl or meth or, alcohol. I was addicted to that attention, and I craved it so much. And, being at sober living houses, the girls do crave that. They're on lockdown, or they're trying to look for a job, or whatever they're trying to do to support themselves again. They're craving something, and they're missing. And for the longest time, even when I was little, taking care of my sisters, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what I was
It's
missing.
a God-sized hole that we think that we can fill up with affection and attention from somebody, and it doesn't work. It never works. It's always, that's what we were talking about in the beginning, was there are those things in early recovery that will really push people out, and it's finances and relationships.
Yep.
So I had said, get a plant, see how you do with a plant for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah. Slim was sharing about his big old plants and stuff, and I have some of the ladies that I tell too, buy a plant because they're like, well, can we get a dog? They want something to satisfy them somehow. And I'm like, let's start at the plant. Then we'll work on a fish, and then maybe a dog. Let's, but yeah, like that's what it is. You water the plants, and they don't talk back to you.
No.
But they, make your room smell beautiful. They make your room look beautiful.
But you totally got to start sharing with these women your issues with attention and men, because I think that's when you see that flaring up, that's your chance to go, hey, let me tell you where I suffered and where I see it's going to hurt you now, because this is what I can speak on right now. These men are going to get you.
Oh yeah, and they're only looking for one thing. Like I can sit there and when my husband was in his addiction, you get a like or you get a Facebook message, and they're just nowadays it's not they say Netflix and chill. You want to hang out? Hanging out is just getting in your pants and just doing the deed, and then you're just another person. That's all they're looking for. And you're really needing that connection. I told them, look in the Bible. You want that connection? You're looking for something you think you're missing. Look in the Bible. Those are all the answers you can possibly get is digging in the Bible. And I am weary on sharing my story with the ladies, because not a lot of the ladies come and tell me their whole story, but then bits and pieces with them being there a while, they start opening up and I hear their stories in these groups. And we would look at them because, some of the ladies will come to me and I see their mug shots and then I see what they look like now. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we joke around about it. But then, I'm just like, I listen to their stories and, whether they've been through molestation or, homelessness or carjacking or just anything, or beat up by a spouse or something like that, losing their children, I'm like, that's who you used to be. Like that, I don't see you that way. Like, I do not see you that person, and then we go to these women groups and they share and they're like, oh my gosh, that leader, I cannot believe that she used to do drugs or she was an addict and she used to live underneath the bridge, but that's where some of these leaders in these groups used to be, because we're all in recovery, and like I said, recovery can be many things, or I'm sorry, addiction. You could be addicted to, like I said, the food, the social media, mine unfortunately was the men from attention, sex, or whether it's just that attention, oh, let me send you a picture, you send me a picture, the back and forth stuff, and it's just, it sucks because we're in 2025 now, and that's just what people do.
I was reading an article last week about what today's generations consider cheating, and that's cheating.
It is.
That's what it is. As you're having these conversations that have an emotional attachment to them, and you're seeking something in that conversation, a lot of people say, you're stepping outside of your marriage in some extent.
And for the longest time, the way I was brought up and my previous marriage, as long as, on Facebook, I have to put on a happy story for, family members or whatever. But as long as I know he was paying the bills and I was coming home every night, but I can go, I hid my phone from him, I keep it on vibrate, turn it upside down, or, whatever he didn't know, it's not going to hurt him.
I just don't want it to bother me.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to interfere.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just those little white lies that get to you, and it's just, it sucks, and it took me.
It separates you guys.
It does, and it's like it was kind of like a hush thingy. Like he always knew, when I was up to something, and I always knew when he was going to the liquor store getting drunk or whatever.
I'm sure everybody's using you're using the excuse, well, you're drunk. He's using the excuse, well, you're on your phone. So, everybody's got an excuse to why I'm going to go do this, which it's not okay, but that's your excuse.
We call it, in my family now, we call it tit for tat. You go tit for tat. Well, you were drinking. Well, you were cheating. Well, you were treating me this way. Well, I did this. Well, you did this. And then it's just a vicious cycle, and it never ends. And until we fully surrendered. And now I knew the true meaning. We got married, and we never put God in the center of our relationship. It was just, oh, we got married. I have your last name. We're raising these kids together. Whatever. And now that we are part of these groups and part of these sober living communities, we have God in the center of our marriage. And, and it's a beautiful thing. I don't think I've ever been closer to my husband than I am now. And it's beautiful. I used to, and what I see the growth in me is when I first started going to these meetings and groups, I would always pray for me and my marriage. Just pray for me and my marriage. Pray for this, pray for that, pray for this. And it's always me in the center. Now it's crazy because I see myself, pray for my sister that's in this addiction, or pray for this lady in the sober living. Pray for, the people that I seen in a car accident the other day off of Mississippi Buckley, or just little things. I'm praying for other people, and my favorite story in the Bible is Job. You know, he lost so much, you know, but he got so much back than he could possibly ever, you know, think of. You know, so that's what I hold on to. You know, I give and give to these women. You know, obviously I got to keep, you know, my peace of mind. You know, I got to keep my mentality and, you know, my mental health good. But, you know, loving on these women and showing them that that their feelings are valid and they are a daughter of the most high king out there. You know, and they are loved and they're wanted and they're cherished.
That's all some people want to hear that or need to know. And like for so long, people can go without ever knowing that they are loved or lovable.
Yeah.
And being able to hold that space for people and be there for people is really beautiful. It sounds like this is really your purpose and your passion, and you've really found yourself with what you're doing now.
Yes, and I couldn't have done any better. You know, just everybody has a purpose. And like the way God just kind of lined everything out. You know, I was so devastated losing my job at an HVAC company. And then I was hesitant to go to the bail bonds, you know, because I'm like, I already live with you. You know, I don't want to work with you. My son's biological mom. And I'm just like, oh, I was like, okay, the heck with it. And I walked in that interview with my son. I did. And I was wearing a spaghetti strap, some short shorts because it was in June. I'm like, I'm not going to get this. A bail bonds, you know, she already works there, you know, and I was hired. And I was like, okay, so we worked together for a while. And it just, now that the First Stop family, they're family, you know, they're going to be coming to my daughter's graduation. You know, we had our Friendsgiving at my house, you know, we celebrate birthdays in the offices together as a family, you know, and they see my hard work with these ladies, you know, and I make it to a point where all the ladies that come into the house, they come into the bail bonds office and they see our family, you know, because right now First Stop is self-funded. You know, we don't have grants or anything like that. You know, eventually want to get to that point, you know, but Roy is paying for everything. You know, he has a very big heart, you know, and he has a story. Yeah, shout out to Roy. He has a very big heart for these ladies. And, you know, I hear some horror stories, you know, in the sober living community about, you know, they get evictions just for what they owe. You know, but I want to see them being in their Bibles. You know, I have some of the ladies that go and volunteer at the AIDS Center for me, you know, and they just, it's just beautiful. You know, yes, obviously we need funds to support the sober living and get back to the houses and stuff. But, you know, a lot of the women, we do get funded because some of them come on probation and, you know, the probation or parole pretrial services paid for their, you know, stay at the sober living. You know, not everybody is, you know, lucky like that for certain counties with the sober living, but it's just, you know, we see the ladies, you know, we're not like, hey, you're not just a number, you're not just, oh, you know, that's my check right there or something like that. You know, we're genuinely wanting to show these ladies love. Two of the ladies that are part of First Stop actually work in the bail bonds. You know, we do see that, so we give back to them too. You know, like, okay, you've shown you've kind of proven yourself, and we see you. You know, we're going to give you a sedative, and you're going to work at the bail bonds. You know, I had a lady today pay some of her fees, and she's like, Sarah, you know, when's the last time I paid my rent like this before? You know, it was like 6 or 7 years, I believe she said. You know, and it felt good, you know, to see those women, you know, be like, oh, I paid a bill today. You know, I went and got me a new pair of shoes, and I didn't steal them. You know, it's those little things that count, and it makes my heart so happy. I'm like, oh, you're a nice project of society. You know, you're doing a good job. You know, and it's just and it's crazy because a lot of these women will come in and they don't get that from their own family. They don't get that from their loved ones. You know, and for me to be a complete stranger and just love on them, you know, it just makes my heart, you know, happy because they're just like they're my sisters in Christ. You know, obviously running a women's sober living house, there's going to be ups and downs, you know, fights and bickering and stuff like that. But, you know, I do believe I handle it very well because, you know, I give it to God. I pray everything. That's my answer to everything. And the ladies know, you know, I'm like, well, let me pray about it. Let me fast on 3 days and let me pray on it. I get back to you, you know, and they're like, okay, Sarah, you know, but I do pray. And I tell the women, I pray for every single one of the ladies that came into the house. I might not know their stories, but I do pray that God gives me the ladies that truly want to be there. Obviously, have we had hiccups with some ladies? Yes, you know, but it's like trials and tribulations. You go through those, and, you know, I every single lady that has left our house so far, I've learned a lesson from them. You know, and I tell you what, I go home, and my husband's such a big supporter because I go home and I cry on my pillow, or I go home in bed, and, you know, I still pray for the ladies that are no longer part of First Stop, you know, and it just, I mean, it's a beautiful thing with these ladies, but it's crazy because like I'm just a little stranger, and I'm loving on you. And my biggest thing is seeing some of these ladies go into court and they're being able to see their kids again, or starting, they're knocking off things on their drug court, or they're knocking off things off their list that they wanted to accomplish, like little things like driver's license. I got my driver's license,
which is a big
thing. Yeah. I didn't realize that, or getting their social security card, applying for Medicaid and food stamps, or just, like Sarah, and my biggest thing is, Sarah, I've got 3 job interviews this week, and it's beautiful. Like you did that, you go girl, and then you see this ambition, whether it's, a lot of them take public transportation. We give them those bus passes, and for them to get up and be dedicated to go look for those jobs and just be, a functioning human being, not relying on getting that next high or that next drink, and just waking up. I have a mandatory thing on my first stop is every morning we have a group chat on WhatsApp with the ladies in the house, and it's mandatory that they tell me what they're grateful for. And it's crazy because you can see when they first start in the house, it's like, oh, I'm grateful for hot water, I'm grateful for coffee, I'm grateful for a nice little bed, and then you see it more and more, and it's like it comes to like 2 or 3, like I'm grateful for coffee in my bed, and then you get these like paragraphs, and they're grateful for the Lord, they're grateful for these Bible ship, they're grateful, just like they go into detail on these things, and I'm just like, it's like my heart is just, it's smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah, watching them grow.
That's all it is, watching them grow and become the women that they're intended to be. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and just hearing their stories. And then I do have cameras in the house, and not obviously in the rooms or anything, but like in the common areas. And once in a while when I'm headed to bed, I'll kind of look at the cameras and see what they're doing, and I'll go back, and the girls just, I'm not physically there in the houses, but I go look, and they're holding hands and they're praying for their dinner. Or one girl is helping her sister do the Bible study and explaining it to the sister. I'm like, oh, go girls go. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Watching them build that community,
Yes.
fellowship together, support each other.
It's beautiful. I just was in the right place at the right time, and I landed it, and just being able to make these other connections. Me and one of my house moms just literally went to the Capitol the other day for the Advocates Recovery Day.
Oh yeah.
That was amazing. I've never been in that building, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And just making those connections too, to see who's in that Capitol, and meeting these, these people that are important, to find out little bitty old me, making a difference, and just being able to meet them. It's amazing. I'm like, what the heck, meeting all these people, going into these offices, or going into these courtrooms and meeting judges and DAs and public defenders. It's nice getting our name out there, but just, it's not even getting our name out there. It's about helping these women, because there are women still incarcerated that still need our help. A biggest thing that we're about to launch in First Stop is the mental health. It starts right there. So it's, First Stop does have a lot of things coming up. Roy has such a big heart, and what we're trying to do with First Stop and our mission and our vision with these ladies, it's not going to stop. With 3 houses, I can promise you that.
It doesn't sound like it. You guys
No,
have
it
grown
doesn't. We've
fast.
grown really fast.
Which is beautiful.
It is. It is. All I ask, my ladies in my groups is just prayers, because it has happened fast, and there has been doubt, like, oh, could Sarah do this, or she didn't have addiction, there has been doubt out there, but, I know the Lord knows my heart posture. Like I said, I am saving 1 bed in that Sunflower house for my son's biological mom. And I'm just praying, that one day she'll, call and she wants it. That's my prayer. I've talked to a lady a couple months ago, and she's actually in rehab right now. She's going to get released on the 19th of this month. And it was a big step for her because of her family. So just hearing these stories, and just hearing their family members call me and reach out to me and tell me, hey, I heard so-and-so is coming to you First Stop. Yes, I have a bed saved for her, and just what we're doing with these ladies, and it's beautiful. Beautiful is like name the word it is. It's beautiful. These women are beautiful.
It's okay to have a theme word.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Beautiful.
And I love that your houses are named after flowers.
Yeah.
So sunflower, lily, and rose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the houses are decorated in those colors. I'm really OCD. So the ladies are color coordinated. My planner is color coordinated. So I know what lady and what house has court on what day, what probation and stuff. So, we have a bunch of sunflowers in the kitchen, and lilies are up on the lily house. The rose is still up and coming. It just got new cabinets and everything. We just got the furniture, so it's, the rose house doesn't have anybody in it, but it's our 3rd house, but that's in Arvada. But it's it's 6 ladies, so two and two in each of the rooms, and it's red, pink, and maroon, the colors because of the roses. And it's just the way I'm not trying to put a bunch of 17 to 25 girls in one house. I want to keep them small, and the houses are beautiful, but keep them small. And after flowers, being card certified, you have to have a name for your houses, and I'm praying on it. And my son wrote me a book and or a little thing with sunflowers, and that's where it drawn on me, and his too. His heart's his heart is, he sees it too. He's like, Mom, I love that you're helping all these ladies, and I pray one of these days it's gonna be, and he says his biological mom's name. He sees all these ladies that we're helping, and he does pray that one day she'll reach out to us, and
maybe she'll see this.
Maybe she will. Yeah.
Know that we love her.
We love her, and we just want what's best for our son, and but it's on everybody's timing, just like it's on God's timing. She left after I got that job after a little while, and that's just, she's not ready yet. God's still kind of writing her testimony right now, and I'll be there with the doors open, for when she's ready. Just like with these other ladies, I go into the jail, I let them know about us, and whenever they're ready, because I just want to, they say plant that mustard seed, just plant that mustard seed. And I know I did it with my son's biological mom because, she was going to these groups with us this last time she lived with us. She was asking questions. She bought herself a beautiful Bible. She was highlighting things. So, I know I planted that seed, and that's all I can do, whether these girls are in my house for 24 hours, because some of them will do. They'll get that PR bond and be there 24 hours and then dip just because they wanted that, PR bond. But, whether they're there 24 hours or they're there a month or they're still there, I know I planted that seed and I'm doing my job. That's all I can ask for with these ladies. It's just continue looking up, like the sunflower. Continue looking up, and God's not done with them yet. And I love them, and they're loved, and a lot of them get excited.
They're watching programs. A lot of them. Speak to them for a minute.
I love you, ladies. I'm so proud of you.
Yes. Sending that love.
Yeah, they know that they're loved. We have meetings all the time, and we have talks, and I hug them, I pray with them, I pray for them, and they know that. They know I love them. Yes, it's about it. The sisterhood. It's I don't tend to a certain race. I don't tend to a certain background or anything. I tend to every single one of the women the same. I have different relationships with each one of them. Maybe this one's more open with her story than this other one. But I don't love them any less. Just like with my children, I have a different relationship with all my children. I don't love them any less, but these women know that I'm there 24/7. I've answered phone calls at 3:00 in the morning regarding a freaking toilet. The toilet thing, you won't stop. Little things like that. And they know I'm there,
Can I call you for that same thing?
Plumber. But it's amazing. They know I'm there for them. I have their back, it is a very beautiful thing. Very beautiful. I love these ladies. I tell them too, I tell them too, like they can be in my shoes one of these days. I didn't, like I said, I didn't go to a 4-year university. I didn't go through, trials and tribulations. I went through trials and tribulations, but I didn't go through treatment after treatment like they did, but I'm still here supporting them. I'm still here loving on them, not judging them whatsoever. And they love that,
And you have a husband in recovery who support him, and how's he doing?
He's doing amazing. He actually is like our electrician for our houses. I think besides him and Roy and my sons, he's like the only guy that goes into the house because he'll go and check on toilets. He'll go in and check on the electrical stuff. Sometimes I bring him in with. We had a house meeting a couple weeks ago, and one of the ladies made us breakfast, and they're like, invite your whole family. So my husband's sitting there on the kitchen table with us, with all of us at the table. We pray, and they appreciate my family too. They see that my family's a part of it. I'm not just the executive director that sits behind the desk and type all day long or collect money and fees or anything like that. I'm actually involved with these ladies. They
probably wouldn't like you otherwise.
Probably right.
She never talks to us. She just collects fees and types. I'm not a fan of her.
Right? No, but I am actively involved with them. I'm actively, my biggest thing. So we're car certified, and that making that car manual is huge. All the rules and regulations. But I tell every single one of my girls, and they know this. My 3 biggest things. If you don't want to look at that car manual and you follow 3 things in my house, you're golden. And those rules are communication, honesty, and bullying. I just ask them to communicate with me, and I tell the girls and I joke around, I don't need to know every time you take a shit, but I want to know like, hey, I'm leaving the house. I'm going to go look for a job. Just little things like that, because I do track their location on Life 360. It's for a safety feature, not to be all controlling. And then I ask them for honesty. I will tell you now, just because you relapse, I don't kick you to the curb right away. I get to the bottom of why did you relapse? Did you have a bad court date? Did you see your son? Were you wrong place, wrong time? I do give them the opportunity. I don't just kick them out right away. We do have, Roy is being in the bail bonds. He believes in chances. He bails these people out and gives them chance. So that's what we do at First Stop. We give you chance after chance. I mean, granted, there's going to be time where like, okay, you're just taking advantage of this cheap rent and these things, and we're going to have a talk.
Yeah.
But honesty, I tell them like, I rather know that you are going to fail this UA than I hear it from one of the sisters in the house, or you tell me first before I pop a random and you're dirty. And then my other one is bullying, and I'm not technically talking about like sitting there poking somebody all day long. I'm talking about like, if you have a problem with one of the sisters and you're telling another sister in the house, that's bullying, because you're not letting her get a chance to talk about the issue you have a problem with. Gossiping. Yes, that's a big thing. And with us women, we tend to do that a lot, I'm like, she did this, did you know this, and that's my biggest thing. I want that communication, that honesty, and that bullying. I don't tolerate that bullying.
You're building a sisterhood.
Yes. Absolutely. And they follow those rules too, like a T, Sometimes they're like, do we need to tell Sarah this? And I tell them, I don't need to know every little detail in the house, but if it's going to jeopardize your sobriety or it's going to jeopardize that household as a whole, then yes, I need to know about stuff. I have chosen my house moms very carefully, with what I see in them, and they're doing a good job. It's, they have my back and they're loyal to me, and I don't need them to idolize me, but they trust in what I say. They trust that if they were to go to jail, or they trust if they were to make a bad choice, that I'm not going to sit there and judge them. If you go to jail, we're in the bail bonds, I'm going to make every call I need to make to get you out or to figure out what happened. I got your back to the fullest, no matter what. And my ladies know that. And that's all I can instill in them, is that I have their back. First Stop has their back, and we're there. All we ask for you to do is maintain sober. And, continue doing what you're doing with the walk with the Lord and your walk with your sobriety, because you're only there for one reason, and that's your sobriety, and that's the biggest thing.
So as we get ready to wrap up here, I got a couple of quick things for you.
Of course.
One is, you don't have to ask your husband and see if he'd be willing to come on in and share.
Of
All right, no pressure, bro, no pressure. But just saying, okay. And the other thing is, we got to go down this list of all of these awesome people.
People on here.
Marcos Garcia, sending you some love. Tina Herrera. I'm dropping middle names, people. Okay, so if you're like Tina Cardena Herrera, okay. Jennifer Gersh.
Those, they're my ladies.
I figured. Destiny Dankowski.
Destiny's my house mom. Yeah.
What's up, Des?
Love you.
Mark Starkovic. Erlinda Polich.
That's
and I should.
Sister.
Hey, what's up? And I
In
should
New
know how to say
Mexico.
Mark's name. My bad on butchering your last name, Mark. Erlinda Polich, your sister in Mexico.
In New Mexico.
In
Yeah.
New Mexico. in Farmington.
Bloomfield.
Oh,
But
really? Another city I couldn't. Good luck out there in Bloomfield.
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 Yes.
That's a flower, field of flowers blooming
Oh, it's
or
definitely
something.
there.
I don't know. I was trying to make it sound cool. Sorry, Erlinda. Cheyenne Mari.
One of my ladies. Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody giving you some love. We gotta.
I love you, ladies.
And how do people reach you or First Stop?
My Facebook is tagged.
Okay.
And we do have a Facebook page, First Stop Rehab and Recovery. Big old sunflower, you can't miss that one.
There you go.
It is a stop sign because we want you to be your first stop in recovery. So it's First Stop Bail Bonds, First Stop Recovery. And then my phone number, we are at the bail bonds. If you look up First Stop Bail Bonds, you'll see Roy Jones. He's really popular. He's been around doing bail bonds for like the last 19 years. So my office is literally.
That's right. If you guys need a bail bonds,
hit us up.
boom. If you got a friend, a family member, I need some help. Mistakes happen, things happen.
We're there.
There you go,
Yes.
Sarah. And you'd be like, Sarah, I saw you on Sharing Our Stories. Can I get some help? And then
Yes.
she's going to be like, extra help.
Yep. Discount, maybe. Just kidding.
That's what I was kind of implying.
Yeah.
You never know.
When are you guys opening up your Rose House?
So I think I'm gonna take my first girl there a little bit after Easter.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like the shopping part. I'm OCD, so I like the shopping. So I still gotta go get curtains. So I mean, we're still taking donations for like furniture and stuff like. Oh, no, it's fully furnished. I'm talking about like dishes. We haven't got the dishes, the kitchen situated right now. But so I'm still giving myself until maybe after Easter to open that one up. I do have a couple girls that I'm gonna probably move. So my Aurora house is the one that is like the main one because it's kind of close to my personal house. So the sunflower house is close to my house. So I kind of put the new girls in that house just because if they were to, God forbid, overdose or there's a big issue that it's a hop, skip, and a jump to that house. And I see that they're, faithfully in their recovery and they're doing what they're asking, they get to branch out to the Rose or the Denver house.
So kind of like a transitional.
Exactly. Yeah. They get a little bit more, access because the Aurora house is out there off 56th and Tower. So it's like cusp of Aurora and Green Valley Ranch. So it's kind of out there by the airport, so it's kind of secluded a little bit, but I mean, it's still in a nice area. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking into anticipating the little right after Easter to open that one up. And I have somebody that I'm going to kind of transfer into that one because she's from Arvada, so she has a job opportunity in Arvada and stuff like that. So and I look at things like that. If you want to stay at the Sunflower House because your job's closer, that's perfectly fine. If you like the Denver House because it's close to the light rail, that's perfectly fine too because that's a hop, skip, and a jump. So it's about my number one rule about the communication. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. And then I mean, not anytime soon, but in the near future, we do want to open up that mommy and me.
Yeah.
And do things for
Yeah,
the
let
ladies
us
that
know.
are
Let us know when you do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
Look,
referred a few ladies
Maybe we
to.
make your husband wait until you open up the mommy and me. Then he comes in, he speaks, and then you come in and you go, let me tell you about mommy and me.
Right? Most definitely. I will let him know. He's probably watching with
He
my
better
son,
be.
But yes.
Also, you just got a couple more. Anita Fuller. She said, so
My
proud of my
mother.
daughter. Brooklyn Soda. Sorry, I don't have my glasses, Brooklyn. I can't see it. Nikki
Didn't want to look
Lewis.
like a nerd and see what happens.
Right. There you go.
Because these are not like my glasses. These are like these are not. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, people. Nikki Lewis.
One of my ladies.
Shannon Shando Dando.
Hey, Shando.
And Aisha Ibarra.
My cousin from New Mexico.
Bam.
There we go.
So, Sarah, thank you so much.
Of course. Thanks for having me
for
and letting me spread my
Glad you
word.
came.
I'm glad to be here.
Such a pleasure to have you
Yes.
here. Let us know how we can assist and talk about things for you in the future. Tell your husband, bro. You see me? I'm looking at you, bro. You here, chair, okay? All right. Please, I'm asking nicely. Oh, please. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And
Thanks for having me.
of course, if anybody else would like to be a guest here on Sharing Our Stories, you're watching, you're saying, I want to come do this. You can be somebody from First Stop. You could be somebody in the home. We just ask that you have 1 year in your recovery. So once you reach that year, take off these smart glasses. Plan on coming in and speaking and sharing about your recovery because we would love to have you here. You can leave a message right on Facebook and we will get back to you and schedule a time for you to come on in. This is Sharing Our Stories. Thank you so much to Sarah Threadgill from Aurora. Okay. New Mexico, but from Aurora.
Yeah.
All right. This is Sharing Our Stories. We'll be back here next week right here. Thank you so much for being here with us.
You had so much love.